Hi, Ixie!
Hi.
Welcome to the Invisible Forest Talks.
Yes.
Yeah, talk a little bit about who you are,
Okay.
what you do.
Well, I'm Ixie, or Ixindamix is my artist's name. I've been a electronic musician and DJ since 1991. I've got various projects, my own projects, a live set with the singer, the Bad Girls. I've got a record label, which is called Audio Tricks, and I'm part of SB23, formerly Spiral Tribe.
Yep. Do you want to say a little bit about your relationship with nature from your experience when you were living, perhaps, in the horse-drawn?
Yeah, well, in fact, I grew up in the country. When I was young, we lived quite in a remote place, and I used to spend a lot of my childhood just walking about, climbing trees, playing in the river. So I guess that's when I first, fell in love with trees in the first place. And
Where was this? In what part of England?
in Somerset, in the southwest. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the UK. And then after, I left home and went to live with the horse-drawn travellers, and we lived in nature pretty much all the time. From finding places, because we always had to find places for the horses to eat grass. And got to, again, know trees as well, just by looking for wood to burn.
Yeah, okay.
And so you have to also know, as I first learned a lot about the types of trees, because my dad was into trees, and when we walked in the woods, he'd say, oh, this is an ash, this is an oak,
Oh, that's great.
this is a sycamore, a horse chestnut, and so on. And then a bit later on, you would learn, okay, ash is a good wood to burn, oak is good to burn, and so on.
Would you cut them off, or like bits of it?
Well, in winter, which is most of the time when you need wood, although actually we need wood all the time because we cooked on a fire.
Yeah.
In the summer as well. So in winter, you have to learn how to work out when the trees are actually dead, so you can cut them down. Or if they're on the floor, you
of course.
The season ones are still standing, so you have to be able to tell which ones are actually dead, because you don't want to cut down live trees, and anywhere they don't burn.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
So you learn looking at the tops of the trees, and you snap a twig.
Yeah, and it's like,
tell if it's
oh wow,
dead.
super. And what's your favorite tree from all of those?
Oh, my favourite tree's an ash tree.
Yeah, I love them too.
Yeah, they're very beautiful. Yes. Leaves and then a nice silver bark.
True. Yeah. And do they inspire your work in some way? Like,
I guess they do, but it would be hard to say why. I mean, this autumn I live now in Brandenburg in Germany, and they have a lot of forests. And in the autumn, it was a very beautiful time because it had so many colours. And at this point, I was at home, so I was taking some microdose and then going for a walk in the forest for like an hour or two, just wandering about, enjoying the colours. And then I'd go back into the studio and write music.
Oh, that's super inspirational.
Yeah, it was a very nice moment actually, because it was quite nice weather as well at the same time.
So you did it as a practice, like you would go and walk?
Yeah, if I had the time, to take to do this.
How long were you in the nature for? Like an hour, 2 hours?
An hour or two, depending really.
Yeah. And then you would go straight to the studio and work?
Straight into the
studio. That's great.
Afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Right, the track.
And you do have an album called The Underground Tree as well.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to call it that?
Well, actually, the reason it was called The Underground Tree is part of the lyrics, because one of the songs I did a sort of rap on it. I haven't got a good voice, but sometimes you feel like you've got something to say, you have to say it yourself.
Yeah.
But it's always tricky to get it to sound good enough if you've got, like me, not a particularly good voice. But anyway, I woke up one morning after a long party, or not even the morning, it might have been the evening, but anyway, I woke up with a terrible hangover. I just had these ideas for the lyrics, so I just wrote them down And I was talking about the family and the bond between the family. And the words that came out were, "We're the fruit from the underground tree," because we've lived a life in the underground and brought up our children as part of the underground scene. And so that was actually about the fruit of the tree in this case, for the name of the album.
Right. So the tree represented your family. In a way, and the whole
or the fruit
community.
Of the underground, the good thing that comes from the underground. But and then the artwork, because I love the shape of the leaf. So in the end, I drew. I can't remember why I decided. Oh, I guess it was from the lyrics. I decided I had to have a tree on the album cover. So I doodled some leaves and gave them to my daughter, and she continued with the design. And she made the design of the tree. And then she passed it on to Debbie, who does the final, making everything look nice. And she did a really beautiful background with a pattern. So it was very much a family. The artwork was very much a family project.
Because also the Invisible Forest, one of the ideas for the Invisible Forest was always like the mother trees, the older trees, and how they sustain the ecosystem. And also how trees connect underground, and they're like a forest, and they help each other, and the roots and all that. So it's exactly what you're describing. Also, it's like a mirror for what you're saying. It's very beautiful. And what about you were saying also that Debbie and you had this project where she would do some projections with nature's. What was it? Nature? Can you talk a little bit?
It's an ongoing project. In fact, we're only at the beginning of this project. But we wanted to take the patterns from nature, like, I don't know, in leaf, in all of nature, but especially in leaves and petals and so on. You know, it's very beautiful. You can get very beautiful patterns. So we wanted to somehow use this and work together on an audio-visual project.
Beautiful. Like completely based on the patterns. Like you would create music from that.
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
No, we haven't really got so far with it.
But it's a great idea.
Project, And I think some of this does come from, in the old days, one of the things that was really great about the parties we did was when we took the sound system into a beautiful place, and then you get a fusion of the electronic music and the nature. And I think that's something that made the event so special, because you're connecting with the nature, connecting with other humans as you're dancing, and connecting with the music. So I think maybe in the point of being in certain states in these parties and appreciating, the patterns of nature around you, that's what's made us want to do a project like that.
Does it have a name, the project, or it's still?
Oh, we have some. No. We had some ideas, but we couldn't quite fix concretely on the right name. I can't remember now. But delic in it, something delic. But
it's it's completely inspired, I guess, with the trees there somehow. It's the leaf, the tree, the patterns,
and also
connections with the roots. It's super connected. Thank you. It's beautiful to hear you. And I guess we covered all the questions. Let me just have another check.
I think so.
Just one last thing maybe, because this year the Invisible Forest talks. Last year was like art in the forest. It was like which idea. And this year is like regeneration of nature, which is like a theme that I'm not really sure what it is, but it's been out there. Like I think it's also in politically. Some of the greenwash is using a lot this word of regeneration. So I will just throw it into our last bit of the conversation. What could it be for you to regenerate?
Well, when I saw the question, I asked myself the same thing. What does this actually mean?
I don't know either. I just wanted us to speculate on it.
I wondered if, it was like some of these rewilding projects that would be great, bringing forests back to life. But at the same time, I think nature always regenerates.
Yeah, that's
doesn't
what
it?
I
You can't
thought.
stop it. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, you see
yeah.
these abandoned places, and there's always the plants coming through the cracks.
Mm,
So I
mm.
guess we have to hope that nature
Yeah.
is, in fact,
She's-
an unstoppable
Yeah,
force.
exactly. It's always doing that.
We'll probably outlive all of
Exactly.
us anyway.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, yeah. It's about resilience, isn't it? You know, resistance and yeah. Thank you.
Okay.